The Galactic Council had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. From star empires to tribal nomads, every species that had emerged into the interstellar web had followed a predictable path: resistance, then understanding, and finally submission. Negotiation was the Council's most powerful tool, diplomacy its preferred weapon. Entire sectors had been brought under its banner without a single shot fired, simply through carefully calculated treaties, trade incentives, and subtle manipulations. So, when human signals first echoed through the void, the Council barely blinked. Another young species, barely crawling out of its gravity well. The usual protocols were prepared. Probes dispatched. Observation satellites placed in high orbit. Within weeks, linguists cracked their languages, analysts profiled their governments, and diplomats drafted the first contact communique. From the outside, Earth was noisy, divided, and volatile, but manageable. The Council had dealt with worse. The first envoy ship entered Earth's orbit on schedule. It carried gifts, information, and most importantly, an offer. Join the Council peacefully. Share in the knowledge of the stars. Access trade, protection, integration. A standard package. The message was sent across all available frequencies, in multiple languages. Earth responded with silence. Not static. Not miscommunication. Silence. At first, the Council considered it a delay in translation. Humans were still early in space development. Perhaps they were slow to comprehend the implications. A second message was sent, then a third. Days passed. Monitors detected movement on the surface, activity in their defense systems, adjustments to orbital arrays, yet not a single response was transmitted. Protocol dictated patience. Some species required time to process. So, a second delegation was prepared. This time, the vessel bore planetary flags and insignias, symbols designed to appeal to national pride and unity. They tried direct channels, focused linguistic dialects, even simple visual cues. The result was the same: silence. But silence is rarely empty. The humans were listening. They had been listening since the first probe breached their system. And now, they watched everything. The Council's signals, their frequencies, even their encrypted logistics. Earth's satellites rotated with uncanny precision, tracking every foreign object above them. A week later, the Council received its first transmission. It wasn't a message. It was a complete recording of their own diplomatic envoys' private conversations, captured with shocking clarity, including encrypted command codes. It was a statement without words. We hear you. We know you. We're not impressed. Panic didn't set in immediately. The Council had encountered resistance before. Some species postured before submitting. But this was different. There was no fear in Earth's silence. No hesitation. Just refusal. A kind of calm, deliberate denial that unsettled even the most seasoned diplomats. To regain control of the narrative, the Council escalated. A high-level dignitary, adorned in ceremonial armor, personally led the next approach. This time, their ship was flanked by fighters, a subtle warning. It entered orbit, broadcasted a direct, unambiguous ultimatum: respond or be considered hostile. Earth's response was minimal. No message. No attack. Just a quiet, eerie shift in behavior. Communications satellites previously dormant came online. Deep space radar systems lit up. Defense networks were realigned. Earth was not bracing for a fight. It was preparing for consequences. Back at the Council, interpretations fractured. Some argued humans were simply too primitive to understand the weight of what was offered. Others warned that silence could no longer be seen as ignorance. It might be strategy. Patterns emerged. Human data networks had black zones, regions even their own satellites avoided. Probes sent into those zones disappeared. Earth's lunar installations showed infrastructure that defied basic energy logic, massive but cold, invisible to thermal scans. The Council tried again. This time they sent a gift, an advanced data core containing thousands of years of galactic knowledge, culture, and science. It was placed gently in orbit, designed to be an irresistible gesture of goodwill. Earth captured it. Not with force, not with aggression. A single ship launched from a non-military base, retrieved the package, and returned to the surface. No message followed. The core was never acknowledged. Silence once more. What unnerved the Council most wasn't the absence of diplomacy. It was the humans' confidence in that absence. They didn't ask questions. They didn't stall. They didn't even express hostility. They simply refused to speak, like a predator who sees a trap and steps around it without a word. The final attempt came through a live broadcast, streamed across all frequencies, translated in real time. The Council begged for dialogue. "This is not aggression," the message said. "This is an invitation to peace. Meet us. Speak to us. Show us your face." But Earth remained still. Satellites rotated. Defense systems warmed. Their skies stayed quiet. And from the heart of the Council chambers, someone whispered what others feared to say aloud. "They're not ignoring us. They're judging us." The silence became unbearable. Within the chambers of the Galactic Council, order cracked beneath the weight of uncertainty. No enemy had ever refused communication. Every species, no matter how arrogant or primitive, eventually responded to the Council's voice. But Earth remained quiet, untouched by persuasion, unmoved by warnings, unaffected by gifts. The Council wasn't prepared for indifference. Speculation spread like fire. Was humanity technologically backward and incapable of replying? Or were they aware, and deliberately ignoring the most powerful alliance in the galaxy? Some clung to the belief that humans lacked comprehension. But others, especially those familiar with Earth's surveillance patterns and response timings, knew better. Council intelligence divisions released a preliminary threat assessment. It was far from conclusive, but disturbing. The humans had detected the first Council drone within seconds of atmospheric entry. Military-grade targeting systems had tracked the probe continuously. More troubling, encrypted Council drone signals had been intercepted, deciphered within hours, if not minutes. One analyst put it bluntly. "They're not trying to communicate because they already understand everything." The chamber erupted. Fears shifted into accusation. Some demanded immediate force. Others called for further patience, hoping humans would eventually respond. But silence had now gained a voice of its own, one that echoed louder than words. It was a choice, and the message was spreading. Internal reports from Council-aligned traders, smugglers, and black market informants painted a fragmented picture. Earth was not united politically, but functioned with strange coordination. Private corporations launched orbital infrastructure that vanished from registry within days. Entire facilities disappeared from satellite view using cloaking systems the Council had never documented. Civilian vessels jammed scans, and ports across Earth exhibited closed-access protocols tighter than war zones. A pattern emerged. Humans didn't stop the Council from watching. They just made sure the Council saw what they wanted them to see. The defense chair of the Council slammed his report on the table. "They're hiding something. Not because they're weak. Because they know we're looking." Murmurs filled the room. The implication was devastating. Humanity wasn't ignoring diplomacy. It was outmaneuvering it. Faction lines sharpened. The integration bloc urged peaceful persistence. The Security Coalition called for reconnaissance by force. A few cooler voices proposed containment, declare Earth a restricted zone until further data could be collected. But the problem wasn't just Earth's silence. It was the fear that behind that silence lay intent. Psychological warfare experts weighed in. "They're establishing dominance through unpredictability," one concluded. "Every day they remain silent, we grow louder and less composed. They control the tempo of the conflict without moving a single ship." Council members realized the truth in that. They had initiated contact. They had offered terms. They had escalated with caution. Humanity had done nothing in return, and still, the Council felt on the defensive. Then came the intercepted recording. A Council probe, unauthorized and deep inside Earth's orbital threshold, managed to transmit a final message before going dark. What it captured shattered any illusion of superiority. A human vessel, small, angular, unregistered, approached the probe undetected. It disabled the probe's systems, not with EMP or physical force, but with a silent burst of coded light. Every system died. Before the feed cut, the recording showed the human craft drifting silently, unmanned, or perhaps piloted remotely, with no life signatures, no heat, and no identifiable propulsion. The Council's command branches received a coded message shortly after, a full mirror of their own encrypted launch orders. The origin was untraceable. Every security protocol had been bypassed. The implication: humans had penetrated Council systems without declaring war, without firing a shot, without even being seen. Shock turned into dread. For centuries, the Council had reigned through perception, projecting power, invoking unity, manufacturing respect. But with a single act, Earth had exposed the illusion. They had shown they could listen, understand, and act without asking permission. That was what truly terrified the Council. Not weapons, not numbers, but the cold precision behind calculated silence. Debates turned to security. Was the Council itself compromised? Were there human infiltrators already in Council space? Had Earth's silence been a distraction while deeper preparations unfolded? Intelligence agencies scrambled to analyze every trade route, every data stream, every diplomatic channel for traces of human tampering. None were found. Which only made things worse. One senior advisor summarized the fear best. "We're not dealing with a species that wants to be known. We're facing one that's spent decades mastering how to disappear until the moment it chooses not to." The Council convened an emergency summit. Eyes scanned each other with suspicion. No one could agree on a strategy. Diplomacy had failed. Observation yielded only fear. Force might provoke the unknown. Humanity's silence had become a mirror, reflecting the Council's own weakness back at itself. There was no plan. Only the spreading certainty that Earth had already made its choice, and it did not include them. The decision to deploy the fleet was not made lightly. But fear masquerading as confidence pushed the Council forward. Silence, they argued, was defiance. Inaction would embolden Earth. A coalition of 8 member species authorized a limited show of force, strictly controlled, symbolic, designed to provoke a reaction without escalation. The mission was to disable key orbital systems, demonstrate superiority, and reissue terms of peaceful submission. They believed it would reset the balance. The strike fleet departed with calculated precision. Warships equipped with energy suppressors, EMP shells, and disabling drones approached Earth's orbit in formation. No planetary defenses responded. It was too easy. Orbital arrays were targeted. Within minutes, satellites were disrupted, power nodes disabled, surveillance lines cut. A clean operation. No human vessels launched in return. No retaliation. No signal. Earth remained unmoved. The Council ships held position and transmitted their ultimatum once more. This time, the tone was firmer, stripped of pleasantries. Still nothing. No acknowledgement. No panic from below. Only atmospheric silence and motionless skies. Minutes turned to hours. The fleet held formation, waiting for anything: resistance, fear, surrender. Instead, they received absence. Then, something changed. One of the lead cruisers reported missing personnel. Life signs had vanished from entire compartments. Internal sensors showed nothing: no breach, no struggle, just absence. Shortly after, another ship's navigation systems failed. Power rerouted, but control was gone. Their engines still ran, but they couldn't steer. Comm systems blinked static, replaced by black screens displaying a simple symbol, a circle split by a single vertical line. Before any action could be taken, the third ship went dark. All systems offline. No distress signal. Just silence. A high-resolution scan confirmed it remained physically intact, drifting, cold, unresponsive. The fleet commander issued emergency protocol orders. Defensive barriers rose. Weapons charged. Automated drones deployed. And yet nothing could be detected. No incoming threats, no heat traces, no gravitational anomalies. They were alone, or so it seemed. One ship captured a brief anomaly. A flash in the distance, lasting less than half a second, no propulsion, no shape, no sound. Just a flicker, then gone. The scan was dismissed as a glitch. Moments later, 2 more ships lost power simultaneously. Command broke. Fleet communication disintegrated. All frequencies scrambled. Panic flooded the ranks. The only message received across the entire fleet came not through open channels, but directly into their internal systems. It bypassed encryption, ignored security layers, and simply read, asterisk. You assumed silence meant permission. Asterisk. Within 30 minutes, 5 vessels were adrift, their crews unaccounted for. No escape pods were launched. No enemy vessels were ever seen. Systems failed in patterns that defied understanding. Entire data cores were wiped mid-operation. The final 3 ships retreated, burning fuel at maximum to escape Earth's gravity. Only one made it back. That lone survivor limped into a deep space relay station. Its outer hull was intact, but the crew was gone. No signs of conflict. Just voided rooms, clean decks, personal effects untouched. Surveillance logs were missing. The only remaining file was a decrypted audio recording, 3 seconds of an unknown voice repeating a single phrase, asterisk. You've trespassed. Now you'll forget. Asterisk. Back in the council, chaos erupted. The mission designed to show dominance had collapsed into confusion. They hadn't encountered resistance. They had faced erasure. Not a single shot had been fired by Earth. No damage to infrastructure. No response transmissions. Just calculated, invisible removal. Military strategists scrambled to model the failure. Nothing made sense. No known technology matched what was experienced. Theories ranged from advanced cloaking to non-physical attacks. Some argued Earth had developed quantum displacement weapons. Others believed the humans had never been on Earth at all, that what the Council had struck was bait. The Council's official explanation labeled the operation as compromised by unforeseen environmental interference. But those behind closed doors knew the truth. They had overstepped. Earth hadn't just noticed, it had acted. Silently, decisively, without announcement. What unnerved them most wasn't the loss of ships or personnel. It was the restraint. Earth could have destroyed the entire fleet. Instead, they dismantled it selectively, surgically, without spectacle. It was a warning, not vengeance. For the first time in the Council's history, a threat had responded not with brutality or desperation, but with calm, precise dominance. No negotiation. No display of power. Just consequences executed without delay or noise. One council member summarized what others feared to admit. They didn't attack us. They simply removed what didn't belong. And still, Earth remained silent. In the aftermath of the failed operation, the Council's intelligence divisions were thrown into chaos. What had once been viewed as a primitive world now demanded full reclassification. A covert audit of all past data on humanity began, quietly, without public notice. What surfaced didn't clarify the situation. It deepened the fear. Years of satellite footage, trade signals, and intercepted transmissions were re-examined. Patterns emerged that hadn't been noticed before. Orbital structures that appeared dormant cycled in rhythms consistent with low-signature energy bursts. Civilian shipping routes showed subtle deviations that allowed them to mask long-range vessel launches. Discarded telemetry logs from 2 decades ago revealed multiple launches from Earth that vanished mid-flight. No registration, no explanation, no wreckage. Those launches had been dismissed as failures. Now they were treated as ghosts. Multiple Council-aligned corporations had been selling Earth outdated tech, communication systems, data servers, low-tier AIs. But when analyzed, those systems functioned with enhancements that hadn't been sold. Earth had taken inferior products and upgraded them without leaving traces of the modification process. They were observing the galaxy and building something outside known patterns. Then came the recovered fragments. a deep space salvager unaffiliated with the Council reported finding debris in an uncharted region of space. The fragments didn't match any registered design. Their alloy composition contained Earth-specific isotopes. No identification tags. No internal storage drives. But upon molecular analysis, the structure bore traces of adaptive nanolayering, decades ahead of anything the Council fielded. And worse, the core plating showed signs of self-erasure. It hadn't been damaged. It had been programmed to decay upon detection. Another report surfaced, buried in a decades-old log from a Council scout ship that had passed through the edge of Earth's system long before formal contact. The crew had detected a brief power surge beneath Antarctica's ice crust. A subterranean complex, too deep to penetrate with sensors, vanished shortly after detection. It had been dismissed as geothermal instability. But with new context, it was reassessed as likely human infrastructure operating in stealth. More troubling were the intercepted distress signals. Across multiple minor sectors over the years, ships had gone missing, pirates, smugglers, even scouts. Some had passed near Sol system. Others near isolated regions unclaimed by any Council species. From each, only fragments of messages were retrieved, often jumbled or corrupted. One translated sentence appeared multiple times, across different years and locations. They walk among us, and they remember everything. The Council realized that Earth hadn't just risen quickly. It had never been dormant. Humanity had grown in silence, masking their progress through misdirection and technological misrepresentation. Their systems mimicked underdevelopment on the surface but buried advancement underneath. They let the galaxy believe they were decades behind, so no one would look deeper. Spies embedded in Earth's diplomatic channels were reviewed. Some had stopped reporting months earlier. Others had sent routine, uneventful updates, so clean, so regular, that they now seemed suspicious. When agents were ordered to extract and report physically, none responded. Extraction teams sent to recover them never returned. No signals. No debris. Just disappearance. Biological analysts then flagged something new. Genetic markers in human DNA showed deliberate editing. Not natural evolution, not accidental mutation, precise intervention. Neural pathways optimized for rapid data retention. Unclassified protein chains acting like firewalls within memory centers. It wasn't military enhancement. It was something older, something prepared. That's when the Council received the Black Archive. It came in a sealed packet, no origin traceable, delivered simultaneously to every High Council terminal. Inside were records. Names. Audio. Visual logs. Conversations from Council strategy meetings. Security blueprints. Surveillance logs long thought secure. And then, near the end, a single data sequence, a complete map of the Council's military relay grid, accurate to the last access code. Panic turned into a quiet, suffocating horror. Not only had Earth accessed their systems, it had stored the information. Held it. Waited. And when the Council crossed the line, it chose to reveal a fraction of what it had always known. A closed-door session was held with the highest-ranking intelligence operatives. The head analyst presented the final verdict. We have not discovered how advanced humanity is. We have discovered how well they've hidden it. Their power is not in their weapons. It's in their decisions. Every silence, every absence, every unanswered message was chosen. They don't need to act because they already know the outcome. And still, Earth said nothing. The emergency summit was silent long before it began. Council members filed into the chamber with eyes dulled by sleeplessness and systems on high alert. No directives had been agreed upon. No plans survived more than a few hours. Every discussion about Earth ended the same way, with fear, uncertainty, and silence. The same silence humans had maintained from the beginning. That silence had eroded confidence faster than any fleet or weapon could have. Then it happened. Without announcement, without sensor warning, a vessel entered restricted space. It did not ask for permission. It did not transmit identification. It simply arrived, above the Council capital. Orbital defenses did not detect it. Surveillance satellites captured nothing. But every broadcast system went dark. Every holographic feed turned to static. And then, a single transmission took control of every display. A human stood before them. Not a leader, not a soldier. No insignia, no flag, no name. Just a face. Calm. Focused. Entirely unbothered. When the figure spoke, the voice was quiet but absolute. You spoke first. You demanded recognition. You expected submission. You assumed your position was earned. You were mistaken. No threats. No preamble. Just judgment delivered like fact. The room didn't breathe. You offered us peace on your terms. You mistook our silence for hesitation. But we do not answer to those who threaten beneath veils of diplomacy. We do not submit to systems designed to smother choice. You call it unity. We see control. You call it negotiation. We see instruction. Behind the figure, patterns shifted, maps of council sectors, trade routes, military installations. Every classified node blinked in and out as if Earth had been watching for decades. You sought to test us. You were warned. You escalated. You were answered. You blamed ignorance, then feared intent. What you failed to understand is that our decision was made before your first probe entered our space. The image sharpened. Behind the speaker, fragments of intercepted messages, tactical maps, council internal data scrolled like a silent storm. Earth had never been blind. It had simply chosen to keep its eyes hidden. We are not joining your council. We are not seeking alliance. We are not open to terms. Gasps filled the chamber, but the figure continued without pause. You've asked what we want. You still believe this is about desire. It is not. It is about lines. You crossed them. You were warned. You acted. So we responded. That is all. Council members shouted into deactivated transmitters. No system responded. They were no longer in control of their own network. The human voice remained the only sound. From this moment forward, Earth will not engage, trade, or speak under your authority. We will not respond to threats. We will not explain ourselves. You will not see us unless we allow it. A pause. Deliberate. But you will remember this moment. The council chamber lights dimmed. Outside, planetary comm stations failed simultaneously. Orbital arrays crashed. Defense beacons deactivated. And in their place, data pulses flickered in a single rhythm, coordinates. Dozens of them. Locations spread across council-controlled space. Within 60 seconds, every site linked to council weapon development, surveillance architecture, and tactical AI systems suffered simultaneous system collapse. Not a missile. Not a ship. Just silent, irreparable erasure. Earth had not attacked. It had deleted. The human reappeared once more. Now with no pretense of message, only finality. You believed diplomacy was power. You believed history favored the loudest voice. You believed silence was weakness. The transmission faded to black. You were wrong. No trace of the signal remained. The vessel had gone. Council systems came back online minutes later, intact, but sterile. Every classified file touched. Every encrypted line exposed. Not copied. Not stolen. Simply read and returned. Earth had seen everything and left nothing behind. No war was declared. No terms were negotiated. No territories were claimed. But the effect was total. The council convened again days later. No plans were made. No responses drafted. No votes taken. Everyone understood what had happened. Not because Earth explained, but because their actions had made explanations unnecessary. One council elder, long silent, finally spoke. They never intended to be part of anything. They waited to see who we truly were. And now that they know, we are nothing to them. That silence returned. But now, it belonged to the council. And this time, it would never be broken.